Hi everyone, welcome back for another update video. I'm having a laugh here because I'm not doing very well. I think this is about take 4 already. I can't even get the introduction done right. Anyway, this is my November 2021 update video for our home energy usage, solar generation, battery usage, all those wonderful things. Lots to tell you about, but first of all, an apology. Sorry this is so late. It's the middle of December. I'm really remiss in getting this out. There's been loads of reasons. I'm not going to get into the details, but loads of reasons why I'm behind schedule and haven't got this out. Anyway, November, it's a pivotal month. It seems to be the most important month because it gives you that feeling between solar is working and solar is great, and then the solar is suddenly not working and it's not so good, and what's going on, and I've got to just use the grid. And you almost feel like giving up. In the summer, you're so enthusiastic, you're trying to save tenths of a kilowatt hour all the time. And then in the winter, when there's just nothing you can do, your batteries run out, there's no solar, and you're cold, you need to turn things on, you need to get the washing done, the wife's in the kitchen cooking, or I'm in the kitchen cooking, and you just give up. And you think, oh, well, we've just got to use energy, as a lot of people just do, of course. But for those solar watchers, those people that are keen on efficiency, yeah, giving up doesn't feel very good, but that's why November seems pivotal. And I want to discuss a couple of things about that. November for us, the stats that are coming, is a big month because it's huge energy increase. We really have used more energy from the grid and more energy overall than any other month that I can remember. And that is because we're heating our home with electricity. We're doing that test, if you followed my videos, of using oil-filled radiators and other electrical devices to heat our home instead of an oil boiler. So we have not turned on the oil boiler at all. It's been close. It's been a few days when it's been about 2 or 3 degrees outside, and that really has felt cold. And that seems to have been the break point where, yeah, I was so tempted to turn the oil boiler on just to get some warmth into our bathrooms. That's where it's really noticeable. That when the temperature outside gets that cold, there's a chill factor and it's not nice. So I've learned when we've got weather that's that bad, I need to do more and turn more heaters on, and we need to get some heat into our bathroom. So I am working on that. Anyway, I'm not doing a heating update video here. This is about our solar stats. What I want to say though was, when I've been looking at the solar stats for November, it seems to be the same in other years, that the start of the month is sunny. The start of the month is really good and you feel good about it. And then by the end of the month and then leading into December, that's where you get prolonged periods of no solar at all. You know, heavy cloud, rain, those sort of things. So you're not getting very much solar generation at all. In fact, one day during November this year, we had 0 generation, absolutely nothing at all on either inverters. Now, I think this is partly because my Solaredge inverter here, that 2.4 kilowatt array, doesn't work very well in low light conditions. I've always said that. The Solace inverter we had did a much better job in low light conditions. The Huawei inverter that we've now got, that we're testing, instead of the Solace inverter, that's even worse than the Solaredge inverter. So yeah, in low light conditions, when it was really bad on that one day in November, we got nothing. Neither inverter came on at all. And that's the first I've ever seen that. I've never heard of anyone else having that either, where there's no solar generation whatsoever. You know, normally you'd get a few tenths, but nothing. Anyway, what I'm saying is that rather than saying November or December is a bad month for solar, what it appears to be is that there's a couple of weeks. There's a couple of prolonged periods where you get day after day after day, 5, 6 or 7 days where there's no solar generation or hardly any generation. And those are the weeks, those are the periods where you feel that your solar array isn't working very well. Most of the rest of the year, you get it more intermittent. There's changes. There's sunny days, there's bright days, there's cloudy days, there's no solar generation days. It's a more mixed bag. So if you've got a battery especially, then one bright day can store the energy up, and then the next day, which is dull, you don't notice so much. So in winter, because it's so varied here in the UK, it actually works okay. Solar arrays and solar generation still seem to work for you. It's just those periods of prolonged loss of generation, that's where it feels that it's not working. Now, looking back at my stats over the last few years, those prolonged periods only happen a couple of times a year. Normally, in other years, it's normally just twice a year it happens, where there's 5 or more days in a row where there's hardly any solar generation. Other than that, there's more intermittent breaks where it's only 2 days in a row, and then there's sunny periods, and then there's a couple of days, again, of dull periods. So we appear to have had our 2 a year already. So either this year's going to be worse and we're about to have some more, or it's over. The worst of the weather is over for the year. Now, I'm really looking forward to December. It's halfway through December already, and it's cold, it's colder, but it is more intermittent. It seems to be coming true. It's sunny outside now, and we are generating, so I need to finish this quickly and then go and put some wash loads on and dry some washing and put some heaters on, do those sort of things. So I'm hoping that this period of just a couple of weeks of poor generation is all we're going to get this winter, and it was in previous years. So this is what I'm trying to emphasize. Is winter so bad with solar panels? And yes, generation is lower, and you'll see that in the stats in a moment, but it's not so bad. The generation numbers are still decent, because when you do get sunshine, some people around the country are still getting full, glorious sunny days. Much shorter days, of course, but a lot of sunshine. You know, if you can generate 10 to 20 kilowatt hours of energy in a day in the winter, it's absolutely loads. So winter's not so bad, and that's really what I want to say. November seems to be that pivotal time where we have moved on from enjoying sunny days to having some horrible periods of no solar, and we appear to have got through the worst. Anyway, what's new here? Solar configuration-wise, nothing has changed, but the discussions and quotations are still ongoing with power different, but I feel we've reached a point where I now know what I want, and I know what I'm being asked to be quoted for, and hopefully soon we can get those things installed. We've reached a pivotal time with looking at solar panels, because we've actually realised that adding solar panels on the east gable of the house would generate less energy per metre of solar panels installed than we would if we put them on the north-facing slope of the house. Now, that just seems wrong, doesn't it? It seems counterintuitive that putting panels on the north side of the house, you're not expecting to generate anything, but lo and behold, the actual physics of how these solar panels work, it would generate more on the north roof than it would if I put them on the east side of the house, because they would be on the wall at 90 degrees. So it's looking like, hey, why not have some on the north roof then? If that's going to generate more than the east, why not have them on both? So anyway, really come across some great stats looking at where we could put panels on the house and how much generation we're going to get. Can't wait to share with you, if we go with a north-facing array, how much energy we get from that. The stats so far look like it's better than half. So the equivalent, if I put 4 kilowatts of solar panels on my north roof, it's the equivalent of putting about 2 kilowatts of solar panels on my south-facing roof. So I'm getting half the benefit. But since I haven't got any space on the south side, how much is it worth having 4 kilowatts of solar panels on a north roof, providing the benefit of another 2 on the south? How much would I pay to get 2 more kilowatts on the south side? I mean, for goodness sake, I've thought about building a garage and other outbuildings to put solar panels on so that I can have more generation. But if I don't need to do that, because they can just go on the north roof and just generate 50%. Well, yeah, actually, I think the stats came out at more like 55%. So anyway, definitely looking at that, looking at getting those quoted. So we should soon have more solar panels here, as soon as Power Different can schedule me in. And as with most installers, they're absolutely jammed. Lots and lots of people want solar, lots of people want batteries at home. There's a bit of an energy crisis here in the UK, and it is leading to people wanting to be more energy independent. Yeah. We've been telling you all along, haven't we? Get solar panels, get yourself a home storage battery. You really will enjoy having that energy independence. On top of the solar panels, yes, I have decided on the battery system that I want. I'm not going to tell you right now because it's only in the process of being ordered. Anything could change, couldn't it? So I don't really want to say exactly what it is, but I consider this system I'm going for, with extra solar panels and a really nice battery inverter and battery configuration, it's going to be an ultimate system. Really is going to be a damned good system. Loads of generation, loads more power, lots more storage. I can't wait to get a system like that, the ultimate system. Yep, it's going to cost me, but all good things come at a premium, don't they? hopefully this is my last change. I've already got 2 solar arrays. This is the 3rd bite at the cherry, changing the configuration. I've had how many batteries have I had now? The Pure Drive, the Givenergi, the Huawei. I've had 3 already. So this will be the 4th battery system that I've had here. And yeah, this is the one that I really want. I may still go on and do some more testing of other battery systems. There's no reason why we can't just switch off the one that I've got here and continue doing tests of other batteries. So that may still go on, but I want a battery of my own. I want my ultimate configuration, especially during the winter. I now really understand the benefit of cheap energy overnight and how that helps and saves your energy bills. So we'll get onto that later as well, that our energy bills are so much cheaper than they would be if we didn't have a battery and if we didn't have cheap overnight energy with OCTOPUS energy. So what else has been going on? You've seen from my previous videos, we've been doing some dehumidifier testing, and yeah, that really has changed things quite a lot here. The desiccant dehumidifier that runs in eco mode at 335 watts kicks out a nice amount of heat. It has transformed one of our rooms. One of our rooms was the coldest, the dampest, the not nicest room on the house. It was a north-facing room, and the ventilation isn't very good in this house. It's quite well sealed, so excellent for heating, not very good for humidity, not very good for quality of air in the house for us living. The dehumidifier, that desiccant one, has made that room actually the warmest and the driest that we've got, and we hardly use the dehumidifier at all. It's a few hours in the morning and a few hours at night, and it really has transformed that room. And I've definitely noticed that once you dry the air, once you get the humidity levels down from something like 65% down to 50%, the house seems to heat up easier. It seems to feel warmer, and that combination of reducing the moisture in the air and heating the house seems to be something you would want to do. It seems harder to heat the house when there's damper air. Now, some people would obviously say, you know, why have you got such a damp house? Well, we haven't. Outside, the relative humidity is between 80 and 90% at the moment. So even open the windows to air a room is bringing in more moisture. So when you close back up the windows and then you have heating on, you're warming the room up, you're getting that warm, damp air. So there's just not a lot you can do about it. You need to manage both the temperature and the humidity in your house, not just ventilate. That's my opinion. That's how it's working for me. And yeah, dehumidifier is doing a fantastic job here. The compressor one, yeah, it just doesn't seem to work very well at temperatures of around 16 degrees or less. So I can't put the dehumidifier into a spare room that hasn't been heated and dry laundry in there. I can't do that because it just doesn't work very well. It continues to ice up and then have to defrost before it comes on, so it's more on and off throughout the day. The desiccant one just works really, really well, pumps out more hot, dry air, and that helps with laundry drying so much better. So yeah, out of the two, I'm now a lot more convinced that I would go with the desiccant again rather than the compressor one. The compressor one, if we've got heat on already, so let's say the house was already warm from having the radiators on and we want to dry some laundry, yeah, the compressor one only uses 165 watts and hence it would work really well in temperatures of say 17 degrees and above. So it's useful, just not as useful because it doesn't kick out as much heat. It's not as good in drying in all conditions. Anyway, that's dehumidifiers. That's been ongoing. I've also been sent a heater to test. It's a Chinese branded company. They sent me a heater. It's a portable directional ceramic heater and air purifier, so it says. Sadly though, they've sent it without a UK plug on it, so it's not the right model, and hence I'm not going to be able to do any prolonged testing on it. But I did plug it in using an adapter to try it, and I was really disappointed to see how it worked. It's rated at 500 watts, but it starts off at say 1800 watts, so 1800, and then drops down to 1400, 1200, 1000, 900, 800, 600, and then bottoms out at about 560 to 570 watts, according to the Casa smart plug that I'm using. And then after that, it basically drops to 4 watts while the fan's on, and it basically is cutting out on a thermostat. So it just seems as though it's going through a cycle of this 4 watts, then up to 1800 watts, and then stepping down every couple of seconds. And that continuing change of wattage is wreaking havoc with our solar and battery solution here, because every device that you turn on or every device that changes its energy usage like that is causing extra grid use and causing extra export as well. And it's because the battery that we're using and the other devices that are utilizing the excess solar energy we've got, like the Eddi and the Zappi, they all take time to react to the load change. So every time there's a load change of, 1,000 watts, 800 watts, whatever, it takes a few seconds. It takes a moment of time for it to adjust. And once, for example, the load disappears, let's say the heater was at 1800 watts and it drops to 1000, that's 800 watts that just disappears. Well, the battery was pumping that energy out to provide that energy. And then if it takes a delay, it's still pumping that energy out. So where does it go? When it's not required and the battery is still pumping out, it goes out to the grid. We are exporting the energy, wasting it from our home storage battery. So devices that change wattage and change their usage on thermostats, and every time your oven goes on and off, and every time any device pulses on and off, it is using and costing energy from either the grid or coming out of your home storage battery into the grid. And hence what I'm looking for are devices that give continuous, stable energy usage. And then that's a lot better for our solution here with batteries and solar panels and Eddi water heaters and car chargers, the Zappi as well. So this ceramic heater I won't be using much going forward. Anyway, I've talked too long about that. I'm not doing a review of that product because it's not a UK model. If they send me another one, I'll very quickly check to see whether it does this ramping up and down. If it does, then it's not for me. Useful, I thought, because it's more of a directional heater for Charlotte, our daughter, to use while studying in her bedroom. So rather than heating the entire room, she could have that directed more directly at her while she sat at the desk, so she'd be warmer. And it's an instant heat as well, so it heats up a lot quicker than an oil-filled radiator. So I thought there was going to be some use for it, but it doesn't really suit our requirements here. Right, on to the stats for the month. This is what this video is supposed to be about, isn't it? So that's the preamble, that's what's been going on. Here are the stats for November 2021. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. How have you been getting on? Are my stats worse? They look to me like they're worse. I often compare mine to John Tisbury's stats because he has two arrays like us. It's still about 6.3, 6.4 kilowatts, exactly the same as us. One of them is a Solaredge array of about 2.3, 2.4 kilowatts, the same as us. He's got a very, very similar configuration to us. He just uses a lot more energy than us, or used to anyway. So yeah, I do like to see whether he's got more energy generation than us, and that gives me a like-for-like comparison. And typically over a month, we're very, very close. But I suspect I'm down this. month. So let's start with consumption. What have we imported from the grid this month? 360 kilowatt hours. I mean, look at the significant difference between any other month. And those 360 kilowatt hours equate to £26.71, a really cheap month's electricity, even for so many kilowatt hours. Average price 5.33 pence. Now our electricity at cheap rate overnight from 3:30 in the morning till 6:30 in the morning is 4.5 pence. So that's why our average is so low. We're consuming most of that during the early hours of the morning. Export, that's down as you'd expect with lower generation and much more usage going on. We're exporting less to the grid, just 34.2 kilowatt hours. So a nice low month of export. Looking at this Myenergi chart, you can see with the yellow spikes at the bottom of the graph, that's where we're exporting. Most of those 34 kilowatt hours that we exported were on 3, 4, 5 days. Basically, the occasional sunny day where basically everything was fully charged and I didn't have something else to turn on at the time and use that energy. So that's when we exported. That's when we could do with a bigger battery. And solar generation for the month from our Huawei array, that's 3.9 kilowatts of solar panels, was 170.76 kilowatt hours. And our Solaredge array, that generated 114 kilowatt hours. That's 2.4 kilowatts, and that's 8 300 watt panels. So combined 114 and 170, that's 284 kilowatt hours combined for the month of November. Pretty good. I mean, it seems like a reasonable amount, doesn't it?
But apart from December and January, pretty much that's a low amount of generation, and it's not enough. We need at least 500 kilowatt hours to service our normal requirements. That's without running heating as well. Comparing to previous Novembers over the last couple of years, 114 kilowatt hours from our Solaredge array is actually more than we did in the last 2 years. So, not by much, but it is definitely more, so I can't complain. The weather was pretty good in November. But when I look at the month-by-month comparison for the 3.9 kilowatt array that we have that used to be Solis inverter, but now is using a Huawei inverter, we can see November this year is actually lower than it was last year. So solar panels and inverters in the same sort of place, and I'm getting different results. This month was higher for Solaredge but lower for Huawei. It really shows that in low light conditions I am not getting good results from this Huawei inverter, so I cannot wait to swap back and get my Solis inverter back and get a few more kilowatt hours. So moving on to what we used all that energy for, this chart from the Myenergi app is showing Eddi. That's heating our hot water, 156.9 kilowatt hours. Pretty much that's all from overnight heating. So between 3:30 in the morning and 6:30 in the morning, we're heating our hot water using cheap rate electricity and the Eddi being boosted. There's a few days there where there is some sunshine and we've got some solar power heating hot water, but not many. Then the 6.2 kilowatt hours went into our Zappi, so to charge an electric car. That was not my Mini, because as you know I've sold it. That was my daughter's e-Nero. She popped around and we gave her a small charge before she headed home. And the last number, there's the big consumption, the house. In the house we used 548.7 kilowatt hours of energy. Now that's a lot more than normal. Our normal house consumption is somewhere between 240 to 280, so that's a huge amount more. That's just because we're heating the house using electric heaters, not the oil boiler. So that's made a significant difference in the number of kilowatt hours. But most of those, cheap rate energy in the morning. That really has helped us. Moving back to the price we're paying for electricity. So here's a chart showing the amount of money we're spending per day over November. And as you can see, there's one day that really stands out. We used a lot more than others, but most of them still under £1 a day is what we're spending. Looking at it from a kilowatt hour perspective, you can really see that we used more kilowatt hours in the end of November. So it really started to get colder, the heaters needed to be on for longer, so we consumed a lot more. But on average, it still looks like 15 was the peak for most of November, and only on a few days did we go above 20 kilowatt hours coming in from the grid. That's just grid usage, so there's solar on top of that. We're almost done, so battery next. That was 162 kilowatt hours charged into it and 158 kilowatt hours discharged out of it. I noticed on one day we charged up and discharged more than 8 kilowatt hours, and it's a 5 kilowatt hour battery with only 4 kilowatt hours usable. So 4 kilowatt hours usable, and we got 8 kilowatt hours of use out of it. It really helps if you can charge on cheap rate energy and then also discharge and recharge during the day on solar energy. You can maximize the capacity of a battery. So some days when there's enough sunshine, you don't need such a big battery after all. So while we're talking stats, why not just take a quick look at our total consumption and usage for 2021 so far. It's 820 kilowatt hours of energy consumed from the grid for the entire year so far, and 1.5 megawatt hours exported. We produced from the Solaredge array, that's what this chart is from, 2.3 megawatt hours, and I think the combined Solis and Huawei inverters is about 3.9 megawatt hours on top. So 6.2 megawatt hours in total generation for the year 2021. Very happy with that. Sadly, the consumption numbers in this chart aren't accurate because my Solaredge array, where this chart comes from, can't see the generation from my other array, and hence consumption numbers, which are derived, aren't accurate.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that. Hope there was some useful information for you. It is always lovely to hear from you in the comments of those people that have just installed solar or batteries and they've enjoyed these videos to help understand what it's going to be like before you actually get it installed. That's the whole point to doing these videos, to share the information, to help people understand how good solar configurations and home storage batteries really are. Sorry about the phone going off. That's probably Charlotte. That's my text message tone, not a real pheasant out in the garden. She's probably just saying she's had her jab. She's gone into the city, into the walk-in centre to get her second jab today. Right, anyway, thank you again. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it if you've watched to the end, especially if you're subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please do so to the video. It really helps me understand how many people are following and watching this journey and my sharing of it. Thanks again. See you again soon. More videos, solar panels, home storage batteries, the occasional product review, as I've said before, and electric cars. Yeah, it won't be long and I'll be back in an electric car again. I can't wait. I'm really missing my mini electric. Take care. See you again soon. Bye for now.